What's going on, guys? This is Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ, back in for another great episode. And today's episode is Start 'em, Sit 'em, Week 2. Week 1 was a tad bit crazy. A lot of wide receivers shit the bed. A lot of running backs, stud running backs shit the bed. But we're moving on to Week 2, and hopefully you came out with a dub. So I don't want to waste any more time, so let's get right into the episode. So Week 2, we here, start, sit 'em. Now, first up, I got Jared Cook. He's a start and forget when it comes to Monday Night Football against the Raiders. Now, Michael Thomas has been reported that he hasn't been ruled out, with that high ankle sprain. He was reported earlier that he was out several weeks, so we do not know what's going on. So even with, Jared Cook going into this week as a clear start and forget, I definitely like that he out-targeted the wide receivers last week against the Bucs with 7 targets. So therefore, that lets me know even with the healthy Michael Thomas on the field, or not healthy, or Michael Thomas there in general, Jared Cook's going to see those targets. He's a top 7 tight end, back-to-back years. We've seen him when he was with the Raiders. We've seen him last year. Very impressive. He's a big-body, athletic target. Even when he was with the Rams, he was our leading receiver for a year. So I definitely think Jared Cook is a clear start, plug and play, where you can be safe and have no worries of him starting. And you got to understand, Jared Cook has been doing this for a while. He's a veteran tight end. He's been able to find the end zone a couple times. He's not very touchdown dependent. He's going to see those targets. He's going to see those balls in the middle. So I definitely feel like you should be having no worries of starting him this week. It's against the Raiders. Their defense, against the Panthers, they just let up a lot of points. And, we're not going to dig too much into defenses. But again, Monday Night Football, you got Jared Cook as a start and forget. Bring home the gold. Next up, I got my boy Josh Allen as a clear start against Miami. I definitely like Josh Allen. He's definitely a very dangerous, quarterback. He dropped 2 balls last week, 2 fumbles, with him doing some athletic, crazy shit as usual. But he's fun to watch. But I definitely like his odds this week coming out as a stud, quarterback with 30-plus points again. So I definitely like him against Miami. The corners aren't very impressive. Their offense, Fitzmagic, is not looking, too impressive. The magic doesn't look like it's there. So I think Josh Allen's going to have a field day with Miami, and I definitely think he's a start and forget when it comes to Sunday. Next up, Jonathan Taylor. Should be a no-brainer here, people. We are here. We're in the time. You can feel it. Jonathan Taylor is the RB1 for the Colts. Marlon Mack is out for a season. It's a terrible way to go out. It's the first game of the season. He looked really good when he was on the field, but, he tore his Achilles, so he's out of there. He was on a contract year. I don't think the Colts are going to pay him for an injured guy that hasn't been healthy since he's came into the NFL. So it might be hard for him to look for work, but he's still a good running back, so hopefully he lands on his feet. But Jonathan Taylor, it's his team now. He has a great O-line. Phillip Rivers is his quarterback, dumping them all passes, which I was surprised that, he even saw some targets. But again, that's what Rivers does. It doesn't matter if Jonathan Stewart or the bus, at their ages now is out there. He's going to throw them the ball. So therefore, I do like that little aspect of things. And I think Jonathan Taylor this week is going to be a top 10 running back. And I definitely like, him going into the next couple of weeks moving forward to be the guy. So honorable mention, if you have Nyheim Hines, I definitely would throw him in the start position, throw him in the flex, you know what I mean? And Rivers is going to find his way to get him the ball, and Hines was in the red zone more often than not. So I definitely like his chances of scoring as well, receiving and rushing, believe it or not. So again, Jonathan Taylor and Hines, clear start and forget, man. This is where we jump on the bus and we ride this wave, you know what I mean? So I definitely like Jonathan Taylor going into the next couple of weeks. Now let's jump into sit 'em. I'm going to start off with my guy, Ram. Cam Akers, man, I can't start him just yet. I need to pump the brakes. I know you're itching to start him, put him in your starting lineup because he had high hopes. He's on a great offense, but Malcolm Brown just looked too good against Dallas, and I can't sit here and start Cam Akers expecting that same performance from him, when Malcolm Brown just overall looked good, receiving, blocking, and third downs and red zone. He just was all over the place. And I think you can't ignore Malcolm Brown being the guy, starting out as the hot hand or running back committee, whatever you want to call that they have going on in LA. So Cam Akers, I'm just going to hold off just yet. Just be patient. Maybe he'll pop off this game, and then we can move forward and we can have a different conversation next week for week 3 episode. But still, Cam Akers, I got to pump the brakes right now. He did look good. He did look good when he got opportunity, but then what concerned me also, we saw Henderson get in there as well, him getting a couple, touches, but he didn't take too many. It wasn't nothing to worry about against Cam Akers, but it was just annoying to see 3 running backs back there when you want max touches for your guy. So Cam Akers, I'm just going to have to pump the brakes a tad bit until I see any type of decline or, God forbid, I'm not even going to say it because I'm a Rams fan, but anyway, until I see some type of decline, and Malcolm Brown, then, that's when I'm just going to, chill out with Cam Akers. Next, Singletary, man. Singletary. He's been the topic on my mind, topic in my league, actually. A lot of people trying to trade him off. But again, it's week 1. We could be overreacting. Zach Moss looked really good, man. Zach Moss is hard to keep off the field. We saw him go out for passes. We saw him being targeted in the end zone by Josh Allen. He's getting all the third down carries. He's getting the red zone carries. So it is what it is. It's looking like he's the clear, Frank Gore of last year role where he was pestering, annoying the Singletary. But again, like I was saying earlier in like May, June, July, we might have seen Singletary's ceiling last season with Frank Gore there. And for them to go out and draft a top prospect running back, put him behind Singletary, and then what it looks like that Singletary is the backup. So that's what you got to deal with Singletary. These are headaches you don't want going into, the next week coming out of 0-1 probably, or if you're 1-0. You want to keep whatever you got going on, no type of confusion, no type of stress going into these starting lineup decisions. So Singletary is a clear sit for me this week. I don't like it because this is an opportunity for Zach Moss to go off against, a beat up Miami. So I definitely think Singletary, you need to be monitored. You need to keep your eye on, but he's not sitting in my, starting lineups for the next couple of weeks until I see, again, some type of decline in Zach Moss where he's not looking great, or, they start switching the roles with Singletary's getting more involved, more of like a 60-40 situation. But right now it's looking 70-30 with Zach Moss and Singletary. Next up, Gronk, man. Gronk. A lot of people full-sended his starting position at the tight end 1, and a lot of people reached on him. He was going in the 5th round in the Scotts Fish Bowl. He was going in the 5th round, 6th round in my home league. There's a bunch of leagues in Sleeper where he was going way too high. So Gronk is being overvalued for the simple fact we think it's Gronk and Brady in New England about maybe 2-3 years ago. But we got to remember, a whole year has passed. He's gotten older. He's not in football shape. COVID has definitely hurt him for being full send in that football shape. His body just isn't ready to be, Gronk that we know 2-3 years ago. So with Cameron Brate and OJ Howard getting involved in that little 3-headed little tight end rotation, Gronk should be a clear sit for the next couple of weeks until we see what happens with that tight end situation. Because OJ Howard looks like the guy to own, in Tampa Bay. So I definitely think you need to reconsider Gronk being a start and forget for you just because you think his name still sells and he has Brady as his quarterback. I really went into the season saying I don't rank him that high. He was like a top 15, tight end for me. And I think that's how many tight ends are even relevant in life. And he was like 13 on that list. But anyway, I do think that you need to reconsider thinking that his name sells. And again, Brady is his quarterback. He's going to be very touchdown dependent once they get into routine and groove, because I think OJ Howard is still going to be involved. I think Cameron Brate is still going to be involved. I think Mike Evans should be healthy, around this time when they start getting into routine. Because again, these first 4 weeks are those preseason games that count, people. That's all it is. A lot of rust, a lot of COVID things fucked up, limited practices. Everything is just off. This is going to be the craziest year of fantasy football. A lot of no names are going to be putting up big numbers, and a lot of big names are going to be putting up shit numbers. So I'm expecting the worst. I'm expecting the most craziest year of fantasy going into this next couple of weeks. Now, this is a new portion I'm going to add to these stardom and sit-ems. It's going to be a little waiver wire base where it's basically pump the brakes. These two guys were hot commodities coming out of waiver wire. Benny Snead and, Sneal, or however you say his name, and Corey Davis. These two, I think you need to pump the brakes on. Most people grab guys off a waiver and then throw them directly into their starting lineup. That I do not like doing, the simple fact that you might end up the next week dropping them because they put up nothing or they did shit. But again, I'll pump the brakes on these two. You got Corey Davis against Jacksonville, and you got Sneal against Denver. Denver is still a very stud defense, even with the, beating up Chubb. And I think with them losing Von Miller, for the season, it does put a dent in their defense, and their corners, they're decent. You know what I mean? It's still a good defense all around. So I think this is a bad matchup for the simple fact that we don't even know if James Conner is really hurt. He's like hurt-ish, so he might still play. So with James Conner playing, I don't like the odds of Snail or whatever you want to call his name being, the RB1, be a full send to be sitting in my lineup just because he looked great without James Conner. Don't get me wrong, he looked explosive. He looked at very like tunnel vision to where he wanted to go in some of these holes, and he hit them hard. So it's not like I don't like the guy, but I will pump the brakes. I'm not like a full send on him just yet to be sitting in my starting lineup. Same thing with Corey Davis. Now he has Jacksonville. Jacksonville looked good against the Colts. I can't deny it. I mean, they looked good. I think Minshew, brings some swagger to that team. So I definitely liked that, man, Corey Davis is weird, man. This is like his last chance with a lot of people. He's been hurt. He has been underperforming, underwhelming. And then we had the A.J. Brown there on the other side of him, who's been like the up-and-coming star for a lot of people that have been drafting him in like the 3rd, 4th round. You know what I mean? But Corey Davis did look good. I cannot deny that. But I'm going to pump the brakes. I need to see consistency. I need to see this happen, once or twice more before I put him in any starting lineup in my flex or my wide receiver too. I know a lot of people are hurting right now with these crazy injuries, Mike Evans, Michael Thomas, even Chris Godwin in the concussion protocol. So I definitely think that a lot of people are itching to throw these guys that they just got off a waiver in their starting lineup. But again, I would just pump the brakes, just put them on, the back burner, just watch and see what happens against Jacksonville. Because Jacksonville did look good. They blankets on T.Y. Hilton, but you know what I mean? And Paris Campbell, he had an okay game. But again, I do need to see more from Corey Davis for me to trust him again, for me to 100% trust him with no stress and put him in my starting lineup. So Sneal, Corey Davis, pump the brakes. So that wraps up for the Stardom Sit-em week 2. Sorry if I did not mention any players that you had questions about if you were on the bubble. But if you have any start and sit questions, just put them down below in the comments, and I'll get back to you to my best ability. Now, I want you guys to like and subscribe and share the video. Of course, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Real Deal Fantasy HQ. And I'll see you guys next week for week 3, Stardom Sit-em. Peace.